Hello, good morning. We're glad you can join us on today's program, The Dailies, your morning show where we look at some of the paper reviews, look at the activities that happened within the weekend, as well as to this very moment, and then we bring it to you. So please do well to get engaged by dropping your comment, drop your views, as you know, they're always welcome because your own little contribution can go a long way to provide solution to maybe one or two things that are actually going wrong in the country presently. I am Sada Elisha Dasham. I'll doing this program together with Rachel. Tansi, good morning.
Good morning, Sally.
All right, we have quite a number of papers this morning. We would love to start with this day newspaper.
On this day newspaper, the first story, Nigeria winning war against illegal bunkering, oil tap reduced to 5,000 barrels per day. A report from the NUPRC. Hope rises as stolen crude falls from high of 108,000 barrels per day. Commissions you can find details inside the paper. We have a story that says world's richest man Elon Musk must set to release smartest AI on earth today. World richest man Elon Musk set to release smart AI on earth today. Despite recent political differences, Tinubu celebrates ex-Kaduna Governor El Rufai at 65. Court dismisses Christian and Single Wikwe's application to appoint interim administrator/guardians in Harvard Wikwe's estate. The big story amid mounting opposition, Matawale affirms not support for Tinubu. The writer says cautions Babachir Lawal highlights killing of 8,000 terrorists, rescue of 8,000 kidnapped victims as key achievements. Ariwa think tank says region not divided against president. We have a picture story with the caption advocating gender equity, governance, inclusiveness, and that's all the news on this day newspaper.
On this Nigerian newspaper regarding 2025 budget, 14 trillion naira earmarked for debt servicing not healthy for economic growth. You can find why on page 4. The big story, hard times suffocate more small businesses. The writer following that story here saying many fold up, others gaps for breath. Bank customers decry new ATM charges, says it will push citizens to more pains. Serap gives CBN 48 hours to withdraw unlawful hike. You can find detail of this story in the paper. Tributes pour in for late Pa Adebanjo. You can find that story as well on page 21. And regarding Edo, we have Okwegbolu Obaseki trade wars over alleged 96 billion naira local government fraud. So you can find detail of that story regarding the present governor as well as the former governor of the state. Children account for 7.2% of cancer cases in Nigeria. The writer here says stakeholders call for free treatment for childhood cancer. And the picture story here is where we can see the FCT minister Yesom Wike with God's will and God's time children of the chairman, Kwali Area Council, Deladi Chenye, and Senator Philip during the minister's project inspection visit to Kwali at the weekend. And that's all on this Nigerian newspaper.
On the Nation newspaper, Tambuwa under fire for attacking APC defectors. Ruling party Basiru Woko knocks senator. Average cost of telephone call now 13.8 naira per minute. Data rate yet to change. Public-private sectors raise 8 trillion naira from capital market. 96 billion naira fraud. Sacked Edo local government chiefs for EFCC probe. Battle rages between PDP APC over Osun Council chairman. You can find details of these stories on page 7. The big story on the Nation, 201 Nigerians head for home on Trump deportation. Other, the writer says, convicts among first batch of 85 on way to Lagos. Envoy Dropbox policy not suspended. Yaro Hunkiu, why we dump PDP for APC. If you want to know why, find details on page 4. Osibanjo Yaku Adeboye will be others at Adebanjo's house in Gigi Afebabalola others pay tribute. Suspects in murder of kidnapped Anambra lawmaker escape from custody. You can find details on page 27. And we have a picture story where we can see the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu with other First Ladies of African countries and delegates at the 29th General Assembly of Organization of African First Ladies for Development in Addis Ababa yesterday, and that's all the news on the Nation newspaper.
On New Telegraph newspaper, US economy disruption will have complex implication on Nigeria's GDP. This is a report coming from the CPPE. The writer says Trump's tariff war to boost Nigeria's gas earnings to 1.09 trillion naira. On 2027, uncertainty as opposition parties plan alliance against APC and Tinubu. Only 9 northern states have slot for mock UTME. This is coming from JAM. You can find both stories inside the paper. Coming from CBN, capital inflow surges by 196% to $10.75 billion. Proposed ban for fuel tankers will cost owners 300 billion naira. This is coming from the NARTO. Blames bad road driver related factors for the rising cases of accident as the federal government moves to prohibit 60,000 liters capacity tankers on highways. So you can find details of that on page 6. Our primary election guidelines was enforced coming from PDP. El-Rufai Sheikh Hussaini Sean Kaduna APC Mega Rally. Party retained crowd Senator Lawan alleges. You can find details of that on page 6. Herdsmen kill 16 farmers, throw the corpse into Benue River. Quite a very sad story. We hope that they will bring an end to the killings happening in Benue State. More detail of the story can be found on page 28. And then we have the speeches concerning the New Telegraph Award 2024 and the winners are, so you can see the pictures of some of the winners, the likes of the governor of Borno State, and the likes of Mele Kiari, and then many others as well. We can also see the governor of Lagos State, among many others that actually got the award. Downside of the paper is a study that says hospitalization for cannabis linked to early death. You can read more detail of that on page 27, and that's all in New Telegraph newspaper.
On Voice of Liberty, NMPCL Dangote refinery trade wars over alleged substandard fuel. ICPC seeks for future of 1.3 billion naira linked to unexecuted Kaduna Light Rail project. In Kano, government slams APC's shadow government proposal. The big story is ahead of 2027, North leaders divided over Tinubu's re-election bid. A report, leaders from northern Nigeria are set to be split over the potential re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027, with core northerners opposing his return, while northern minorities express support. In Kano, Senator Sumaila assaulted at Emir's daughter wedding over aligning with Tinubu. House of Reps caution Nigerians on $150 million bribery allegation still on the Binance case. Southwest Muslim clerics threaten to oppose anti-Sharia politicians in 2027. The last story here, APC always fair to old or new members. Kaduna governor tells defectors in that all news on Voice of Liberty.
Moving on to New Nigerian newspaper, still looking at 2027 election. Atiku takes decisive step, appoints Zulum ex-aide, with the story found on page 3. Neymar partners prevent tragedy as petrol tanker spill content in Kaduna. More detail of the story can be found on page 11. Defectors won't save you from losing in 2027, PDP tells APC. Vows elected lawmakers defecting to APC in Kaduna will lose their seats. Warned Kaduna government against wasting public funds on. And then Uba Sani welcomes the campees to APC. You can read more detail of all of these on page 7. We have Oshun LG's tension NLC direct members to withdraw services from today. Osun local government tension. NLC direct members to withdraw services from today. NDLEA bus trans-border drug cartel arrests four members, recover multi-billion naira opioids in a Siena bus bumper, meds and other spare parts. You can find detail of that on page 12. Governor Sani exemplary leadership motivation for defection of PDP and NPP orders big wings to APC. This is coming from the DG support group. Northwest senatorial candidates form over alleged nomination of Ganduji's daughter as director into the NWDC, calls for transparency in election process. Promote agriculture to tackle down unemployment, group stacks the northern governors. And there we have Amadou Bello Foundation records success in reforming Almajiri education, 40 graduate from skill acquisition training project. And then we have Buratai champions Nigerians push for electric vehicle manufacturing at research center. We have the future story which we are having the decampees from the PDP, the Labour Party, NNPP, and other parties to the APC in Kaduna. This happened at the weekend, and that's all a new Nigerian newspaper.
On leadership newspaper, Nigeria rejects proposal to restructure AUP's security unit. Fact check. Why did NSA criticize Canada over visa denial? Trending Nigeria's economic activities expanded for second time. You can find both fact check and trends on page 2. 3 months after ban on export, cooking gas prices remain high. Students decry delays result to personal payments. This is concerning Nelfund. It's too early for us to start having hitches. I hope that the authority do something about it. You can find details on page 21. The big story, security experts demand probe of Boko Haram funding. The writer says asks federal government, National Assembly to launch investigation, go after sponsors. General Kako Sheka Ejiofor shares suspicions on NGOs' activities. You can find details on page 4. Tinubu will commission many projects soon, an assurance from Wike. NDLEA uncovers trans-border drug cartel, arrest 4. Irate youths raise police station in Ondo. Military airstrike kills 10 in Katsina, and that's all the news on leadership newspaper.
On Vanguard newspaper regarding the death of Adebanjo, burial may hold in May. This is coming from his daughter. Federal government to engage 28,000 Nigerian health workers on US aid payroll. Federal government to engage 28,000 Nigerian health workers on US aid payroll. You can read detail of that on page 32. How politicians' weaponization of poverty hurt Nigerians, coming from Archbishop Ogojire. You can find that regarding the state of the nation on page 28. The big story, Trump's energy policy. Federal government's 19.6 trillion naira revenue target under threat. Diaspora remittance forex budget will be impacted, coming from the CPPE. USA oil impact over dramatized, coming from NACCIMA. Economic diversification, the way out, coming from Udori. You can find more detail of this story on page 19. PDP APC bicker over party's internal crisis. Will PDP recover from its leadership problems? There's a question. You can do well to find that answer as well, I believe, on page 16. Regarding 2027, Matawadi blasts ex-SGF Lawan says not solidly behind Tinubu, while we are having another paper saying the North are actually divided over the support. Youth raised police station in Ondo over alleged death of detainee. You can find that story on page 10. Choma Ojua joins Japa train. You can find that sports story on page 37. And the picture story is the 38th ordinary section of the Assembly of the AU in Ethiopia, which of course our president is in attendance. We can see him at the extreme end left side, so you can do well to read more detail of that story, and that's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
On Blueprint newspaper, NOA and CDC partner against fuel scooping from falling tankers. New ATM withdrawal policy to benefit banks and customers. This is CBN trying to tell Nigerians not to panic. Nasra United sacks Dogo appoint ex-Super Eagles coach. This is concerning the NPFL. Ubasani Matawali Arewa think tank not support for Tinubu in 2027 unshakable. The writer says president investment reform in the region massive. Sheikh Husani Yero Hunkui others defectors swell APC support base. Let's stay back to fix our challenges, PDP begs members. Tension in Oshun, local government chairman vow return to councils today. Adeleke Oyetola trade words. Oil production now 1.75 million barrel per day to hit 2.7 million barrel by 2026. NUPRC is giving a report where last week we saw us hitting 1.5 million barrel per day. Today on the paper is 1.75 million barrel. The writer says volume of stolen crude drops to 5,000 barrels per day. You can find details on the front page and continue on page 8. We have Lassa fever still claiming lives. We're looking at 13 lives. Boko Haram ISWAP resumes fighting, and you can find details of this story inside the paper. We have a picture story from left. We can see Chairman Airs Holding, Tony Olumelu, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, during the 38th ordinary session of the Assembly in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on Saturday, and that's all the news on Blueprint newspaper.
On the Punch newspaper, OPEC foresees to lower Dangote refinery petrol price. You can read detail of that on page 33. Borno missing children rise as Boko Haram steps up recruitment, and we've been talking about educating them, providing food for everybody, not just in Borno, but Boko Haram mean business by recruiting more people. So I hope that the Amajaris that we keep seeing and all of the rest will not become a vessel in the hand of the Boko Haram. Do well to read more detail of this story on page 25. Ensure fairness in deporting Nigerians, federal government tells US. Ensure fairness in deporting Nigerians, federal government tells the US. Edo to petition EFCC as panel allege 96 billion naira fraud under Obasity. More detail of the story can be found on page 7. And the big story for the paper is regarding the telecoms tariff hike. Federal government deploys security agents as NLC insists on protests. Protests will be hijacked by miscreants, says the NSCDC spokesman. Subscribers oppose Labour's move, which they are planning to actually have a protest tomorrow. So we're seeing here talking about security have to be present to actually avoid it from being hijacked. More detail can be found on page 2. Adibanjo, where we have Adeboye Oyeko Ozibanjo Obi, ex-governors attend commendation service. More detail found in the paper. Oyo Prince asked the court to sank Owode, that's regarding their affairs too. Dismembered girlfriend died from asthma, Kwara killer cleric. That is coming from the Kwara killer cleric. You can read more detail on page 4 and 5. And then on the local government crisis, Adeleke Oyetola trade words. Labour suspends services on page 41, and that is all on the Punch newspaper.
On Nigerian Tribune, Trump's policies may impact government revenue, forex earnings, CPPE warns, predicts drop in energy prices. Cost of obtaining cash remains high despite CBN's enforcement measures. The big story is on local government polls. Adeleke report Oyetola security chiefs to Tinubu. The writer says accuses them of plotting mayhem in Oshun today. I am a man of peace, respect court ruling, Oyetola tells Adeleke. NLC declares stay at home for LG workers. Planned public holiday can't stop our chairman from resuming, APC saying. You can find details on page 22. Matawale cautions Babachi Lawa affirms northern Nigeria's unwavering support for Tinubu. Tinubu affirms El-Rufai's role in APC formation and elections. Omatekun foils robbery incident in Lagos Sagamu Expressway, one suspect killed. We have on Ayo Adebanjo, SMBLF, the Patriots Adeboye affair, Mamora Obi orders pay tribute, visit Lekki home, and that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
Alright, let's take a look at another paper, which is Daily Independent newspaper. Nigeria reject plan to split AU Political Affairs, Peace and Security Department. Serap gives CBN 48 hours to withdraw ATM fee hike. The big story on 2025 budget, 28.1 trillion naira fiscal deficit, debt servicing burden made thwart performance. You can read why inside the paper. Tinubu urges joint maritime task force to boost Gulf of Guinea security. PDP dismisses allegation of forgery of primary election guidelines. And on fundraising, Enugu Security Trust Fund rakes in 3 billion naira. APC sweeps Castina local government polls. Angry youth set Ondo police station ablaze. You can find more detail on page 6. Tension in Osun as SAC local government chairman councillors plan return to office. Osun NLC asks their members to stay off their offices. Downside of the paper, WAEC releases November-December 2024 exam result. Records 53.64% pass. Detail of this found on page 6. We have two picture story. You can do well to get the paper in more detail of any story that's of interest to you.
On the Guardian newspaper, the first story, Adeleke PDP urged Tinubu to caution Oyetola, others against mayhem. Oil vendors stealing 155,000 barrels as host communities get 78.8 billion naira. Alleged $150 million Binance bribe, HEDA wants accused lawmakers probe. The big story on The Guardian, despite 7.2 trillion naira subsidies, power sector's inefficiencies take toll on customers. And then we have some information here where we can see electricity subsidy from 2015 to 2025. We are looking at 10 years or over 11 years as we have it here. We have 7.2 trillion naira in subsidies over 11 years. And we have a 2015, we have the government paying 2.25 billion naira. Then in 2016, we have 302 billion. In 2017, 351 billion naira. 2018, 440 billion naira. Now moving forward to 2022, we have 144 billion, meaning it went down as of 2022. 2023 is 618 billion, the highest so far. And then 2024, we're seeing a record high of 2.3 trillion naira. And for the year 2025, it is proposed that we would be spending 2.2 trillion naira on electricity subsidy. Now, discuss average yearly subsidies. We have the IBEDC at 294.6 billion. We have TEDC at 103.56 billion naira. EEDC is 153.24 billion, and we have the EKEDC at 269.04 billion naira, and I believe that of Abuja, the AEDC, is at 349.2 billion naira, the highest of them all. And we can look at the power sector debt. 2.3 trillion naira in debt to the Central Bank of Nigeria, $1.95 billion owed to banks. World Bank is $1.7 billion power sector recovery and transmission upgrades. And then the African Development Bank is $2.1 billion energy transition and transmission expansion. NERC's tariff breakdown, 208 naira per kilowatt total gas supply. We're looking at 50 naira per kilowatt, and we have generations of 70 kilowatts per naira and 17 naira per kilowatt, and then we have transmission 11 naira and distributions at 77 naira. Now, grid collapse is 160 in 11 years. You can find all of these details on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Still on the paper, ahead of 2027, Tinubu gets more northern backings as LP spars over Igbo presidency. Court rejects family's bid for interim administrator of Wigwe's estate. U.S. policy shifts leave AGOA diaspora remittances hanging. The last story on the paper, federal government vows probe into hoarded relief materials at FCT IDP camp. And that's all the news on the Guardian newspaper.
On Daily Times newspaper regarding 2027, Dogara gives Tinubu condition for Bauchi support. You can find detail of that on page 4. Nigeria achieved significant debt reduction under Tinubu coming from Kalu. With the big story saying APC makes big haul as Shehu Sani and others defect through the APC. Now we can see the rejoicing and then you keep wondering what's happening regarding all of this. NDLEA bus trans-border drug cartel arrests 11. Why Nigeria faces economic uncertainty as Trump reshapes global trade. Rising costs of goods, services threaten survival of small businesses in Abuja. With more detail of this story found on page 5. Governor Bala celebrates former commissioner on appointment as ABUVC. You can find detail of that story on page 2 and that's all on Daily Times newspaper.
On Nigerian News Direct, the big story, LG crisis, Oshun APC, Governor Adeleke fight dirty over appeal court ruling. The writer says, I choose to allow nations before my people are killed, Adeleke blows hot. Illegal public holiday won't stop our chairman from resuming Oshun APC saying as NLC directs workers to withdraw services in Oshun local government. At the top of the paper, a toothless watchdog or a silent accomplice in telecom exploitation, NCC are asking a question. UBA Group donates $500,000 to boost Africa's peace and security. Uncertainty in global oil price threatens 2025 budget, CPPE warns. Defection influx, Kaduna Governor welcomes ex-Governor Yero, Shehu Sani, La, and we have Hunkuyi and others to APC. Tanker accident, 60,000 capacity tankers not responsible once against 300 billion naira investment losses. This is NATO trying to say that the size of the tank is not the reason behind the accident. Bad roads and the drivers are mostly to be blamed. You can find details on page 22 and that's all the news on Nigerian News Direct.
On the Metric newspaper, Sirap charges CBN to reverse ATM transaction fee hike within 48 hours. As well regarding the EPL, Liverpool go 7-point clear after another win over Wolves, poor beat United. More detail found on page 22 for sport lovers. Tinubu expresses Nigerians' readiness to back reform to make AU more vibrant. Calls for combined maritime task force to enhance security in GOG. Adeleke accuses Oyetola of plotting mayhem in Osun over local government chairman's reinstatement. How Nigeria can benefit from U.S. trade tariff war. This is coming from the CPPE. Says the tariff war presents export investment opportunities for Nigeria. The question will be if Nigeria is willing to take advantage of that. Nigeria courts urge to strategically position for eminent support gaps. One diaspora remittance could be affected by the current immigration policy. APC slammed Tambuwal over criticism of defection, and then panel indicts ex-governor Obaseki others over alleged 96 billion naira local government fund mismanagement. Army dismantles 25 illegal refineries, confiscate 95,000 liters of stolen crude oil. We have a picture story during the courtesy visit where we can see the Lagos State Governor in a warm handshake with the Accountant General of the Federation, Dr. Olutoyi, during the courtesy visit to the Lagos House Maritime recently. And we have an entertainment story regarding the issue that been happening between Very Dark Man and Nidu. So you can do well to read what happened and then the person behind that on page 20. And that's all on Metric newspaper.
On First News, the first story, Abure pledges LP support for Igbo presidency. Nigeria rejects AU plan to split political affairs and peace security. US diplomatic missions to close Monday for President's Day holiday. Katsina LG polls, APC wins all 34 chairmanship, 361 councillorship positions. Netanyahu threatens gates of hell in Gaza over hostage standoff. The big story on First News, tension mounts in Oshun over Oyetola's alleged plot to destabilize state. Governor Adeleke to Tinubu call him to order now. NLC wants workers stay home for your safety. We will recover 96 billion naira allegedly looted by Obaseki, PDP Opebelo is vowing. Suspect dies in custody, angry Ondo youth set police station ablaze. The last story here, abducted Rivers Catholic priest, two others regain freedom. And a picture where we can see Governor Umo Eno cuts the ribbon at Bayelsa's Diri's look on during the inauguration of the Douala Road 2 in Yenugua City, marking Diri's 5th anniversary at the weekend. And that's all the news on First News newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening in the world of business on Business Day newspaper. Naira's best start in over a decade spark hope and caution. You can read what that means. And then we have PFA battle for loyalty as 290,000 customers change managers. Nigeria to unlock $257 billion gas field with tax credits. Port overheard over creating 20,000 jobs reclaiming lost cargo with detail found on page 30. We have a picture story. Do well to grab the paper and read more detail of any of the story that is of interest to you.
On the Matrix Sport newspaper, in the English Premier League, Bassi urges caution in Fulham's quest for European ticket. Rangers floor Remo Stars Heartland win at home. So on the English Premier League, Liverpool goes 7 points clear after Neville win over Wolves. Spurs beat United, and at this point, I think Amorim needs to be given a warning. And we still have the story. Amorim reveals big difference as Man United lose 1-0 to Tottenham Hotspur, and that's all the news on the Matrix Sport newspaper.
On National Economy newspaper, Peter and others get leadership awards. You can find who the others are on page 5 of the National Economy newspaper. Now we're looking at the currency buying, selling inflation rate for as well as commodity prices at the end of market, which was on the 14th. So you do well to go through it and see what the prices are. Artificial intelligence, over 20 million jobs displacement loom in Nigeria's agri and port sector. Tech expert urge reskilling to maximize the new AI job and boost productivity. Downside of the paper, how silent operators birth fintech revolution. You can read detail of that on page 18, and that's all on National Economy newspaper.
On Punch Sport Extra, the big story, call them up. 7 potential additions to boost Eagles for World Cup qualifiers. Ndidi on Atletico radar, Juventus plot Osimhen Kolomwani transfers. Reds reclaim 7-point lead after tough win, that is Liverpool winning against Wolves. Spurs end winless run against hapless Devils. United prepare shock 120, £12.5 million Alvarez bid. Madrid to appeal Bellingham's red card. Nwaneri breaks Saka's EPL record. You can find details on page 6. Opeyori claims 5th African badminton title. Nathaniel sets 400-meter world lead African record in NCAA. You can find details on page 2. We have another story here. Rangers hold Remo's unbeaten run, and that's all the news on Punch Sport Extra.
And that's how far we can go on the paper review this morning. So thank you so much for all our followers and our viewers. We look forward again to doing this together. To have a lovely Monday.